Nope, we're good. Where's mine? So put mine's right next to it. Grind, you're on here. You got something to look forward to. You guys are in the top 25. As you know, I fire up cigars. The Outlaw cigar from the Four Seasons. It's their in-house cigar, personally made, personally wrapped for Four Seasons cigar. And so, you know, let's light it up and get going.
So we're just doing straight rankings, right? This show's going to be quick, just straight rankings. Baron?
That, yes.
Yes.
That laptop might die. Don't forget about it.
Okay, that's fine.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Countdown. If B1 sits down.
All right, we're just going to roll straight rankings.
Rolling straight rankings. This is what we're doing. It's time to go.
Down. Right. Want to scoot a little more that way?
Where's mine? Pull mine up.
It is right here. That's yours, and that's the composite.
Put composite over there. If you got any questions about the rankings, feel free to ask. I'll give her cash in a second. Can she just hold on? Can you just hold on to those? I got cash, and I'll pay when we're done with what we're doing. Shout out Four Seasons. They always allow us to use their space to come in and do our thing. You know, it's a blessing that we get to use this beautiful venue to talk about what we talk about on a weekly basis. We weren't here last week. We're ready to roll.
Okay. I got to count it down for the actual.
Okay, cool. Let's rock.
3, 2, 1. Welcome into the Pylon 7 on 7 podcast. I'm your host, EJ Holland, and alongside me is Baron Flannery, Pylon CEO.
It is a pleasure being here. Sorry we weren't with you last weekend. I had a funeral to attend to, and you know, I want to take a second just to let you guys know life isn't always promised. Make sure that you're kissing and loving on the people in your lives that are influential, the people in your lives that you love and care about, the people in your lives who care about you. Make sure that you're sending those people love, because it's not always that they're going to be around. And so it was that's why we weren't here last week, and that's my little message, man. Make sure you're showing love to the people who got love for you.
So today we have a special podcast. Obviously, we had the Pylon Texas Classic. It was the first annual Texas Classic, which was great, by the way. We're not going to do a full recap, as today we're focusing on rankings. It's going to be a shorter show, but just want to give a shout out to Truth for taking home the championship there and winning the first annual Pylon Classic. Texas Classic punching their ticket to Atlanta. Big win for Deion Sanders and his program, as well as Under Armour.
It was really cool to have Deion Sanders there. He's obviously a legend. In my opinion, he's the best football player ever to play the game. And so he came out and he showed that not only was he a legend on the football field, but he's giving back to these kids, and he's given an opportunity to these kids, and he's given that wisdom back. And in his first tournament at Pylon, he walked away with the trophy. So shout out to you, Deion Sanders, and Truth. Keep doing what you guys are doing. You ain't in the top 10 in my book, but you'll get there. Actually, you are. You're 8, but not the top 5.
All right, so let's go ahead and count it down with the rankings. Baron, you want to go top to bottom or bottom to top?
Let's go bottom to top.
So coming in at number 25 is ETA, which made a deep run in Vegas. They were ranked on my top 25, not on your top 25, but made it their composite. Basically, Baron and I combined our rankings, formed a composite. This is what we came up with. ETA was in my top 25 again because of the showing they put out in Las Vegas. I mean, they made a deep run there. That is, they had an impressive performance. Overall, I just felt like if you make a run to the final 8 in Las Vegas, I mean, you deserve to be in the top 25.
I agree with that, but they've kind of fell off since then. They made a good run at our event in Seattle, lost in the championship to FSP, who's ranked higher. And we'll talk about them a little bit later. But ETA's been on the circuit for a couple years now, and they've really got that thing moving. And Coach Bumpus, who's actual high school coach, took his team deep in the high school playoffs. So they're obviously well coached. They got a couple players that'll go Division I. But since Vegas, they haven't done as much as I would have liked. I typically try to rank off of how they do at Pylon events when I see them. But when I see some of the teams that are in the top 25 who have also done well in Pylon events and them not doing as well moving forward, they're kind of the honorable mention for me. But ETA is a very good 7-on-7 team, and they're a team that is one to watch as we come closer to nationals. In mine is at 25, who you didn't have in yours were the Crusaders out of Hawaii. I feel like the Hawaiian teams don't get enough love just because, geographically, not a lot of scouts, not a lot of people are able to get over to the island to see what they can do. But as you see with Tua Tagovailoa, Marcus Mariota, and all of the host of other Polynesian, Hawaiian players, they can obviously play football. And the Crusaders went deep in Vegas, and we haven't had a chance to see them on the circuit again because it's just too far for them geographically to get to other tournaments. But the Crusaders every year, they're always sniffing around the top 16, top 8 in Las Vegas. And, I think it's time that we give them their just due. So that is a team that I had in my top 25. They didn't make it in the composite rankings, but we got to give them some love and shout them out. ETA, you got in by the skin of your teeth. You got to start winning, man.
All right. So the Crusaders I will see out in Hawaii later this month, so maybe they can change my mind. Let's go ahead and go to number 24. This is a team we both had in our top 25, Air, out of the Northwest. They're a team that also made a good run in Las Vegas, and they have a lot of talent. I just thought that, they need to win a little bit more to rise up the rankings, but I thought they did enough in Las Vegas to earn a spot.
I agree. Air, coached by Reggie Jones, Super Bowl winner with the with the Saints. Also another well-coached organization. They travel well. They have a big organization and a big following, and they do a really good job. Again, when we're talking 25 and you have 407 on 7 teams, it's hard to pick a top 25 because there's teams that get left out. But they always do enough just to hang around there to keep their name relevant. I would like to see more Pylon trophies. They win every other one, but you don't really get your street cred unless you win at Pylon. And so, Reggie, you got to get you a Pylon trophy. But until then, you're in our top 25 at number 24.
Number 23 is Northern California staple, KT Prep. With KT Prep, it's funny. I've seen them on numerous occasions, and it's never anything flashy. They just play good 7-on-7. They always make decent runs in the tournament. It's kind of like that, I don't want to say boring team, but just that team that's always in it. It always provides a threat to people, but they haven't exactly won, Pylon championships, but they always seem to make things interesting.
The thing I like about KT is, like you said, they are a boring team, and I like personally, I like boring teams because they just go out and they handle business. They do their thing. They don't mess around. They're there on a business trip every time they hit the road. They did well in Tampa this past weekend at the Adidas tournament. They didn't get an opportunity to win it, but as always, they're beating a lot of the higher ranked teams. They're always in the hunt for a championship. And when you go about your business, you don't get all of the accolades. You don't get all of the social media pub because they're not out there doing a whole bunch of backflips and things like that. But they just go out and produce. And when you go out and produce, you're always going to be in the top 25. Plus, they turn out Division I players like crazy. I mean, they are the team to beat in the Northern Cal area. TMP is another one, but KT Prep is a staple. They win their tournaments, and so because they got them a few tournaments that give them an opportunity to hang around that top 25. KT Prep certainly needs the love.
Number 22 is a team you did not have ranked in your top 25. I did, and that's Pro Impact out of Florida.
They're OGs. They are OGs. They are OGs in the industry.
I feel like when you're a team like Pro Impact, and even though they've been up and down this circuit season, I feel like they deserve respect. Like you said, they're an OG team. They have a lot of talent, including 5-star cornerback Fred Davis. Thought they had a decent performance out in Orlando, which you called the East Mecca. So with the amount of talent they have, I think this ranking's based on potential. I think Pro Impact can shoot up this list with what they can do as the tournament season winds down. And I feel like they've done enough to at least earn a spot in the lower 25 side of the rankings.
You hit it on the head. And because I didn't have them in the rankings, I had Real Speed. Real Speed is an organization that's been around for quite some time, and they're really just starting to turn the corner. I had Real Speed at number 23. They turned the corner and won a couple tournaments, and in our LA tournament, lost in the Final Four to Ground Zero, and in Las Vegas, they lost to another team that was in the Final Four. And so every time they come out, they've been putting up really good performances. And so Real Speed, I think, deserved some recognition, at least in mine. Pro Impact, they haven't done enough this year, at least not at the Pylon tournaments, for me to say that they are a top 25 team. Obviously, honorable mention, but for the simple fact that you have them in yours and you had them ranked high enough and they were, just on the cusp, I'm not going to fight you about that. They deserve to be there. They're OGs, and the OGs always deserve some respect.
So moving on to number 21 is also a team we disagreed about. You had in your top 25. I did not, but you can make the argument for them because they impress in Las Vegas, and that's elite athletes. The reason I didn't have them in my top 25 is when they played out in Vegas, they did have some borrowed players, which in my mind, I usually knock teams down when they have borrowed players.
Yeah.
And so they had guys like Clark Phillips, who plays with ProWay, and ProWay's not in it. I don't know if it's necessarily the same organization as ProWay, but the fact that they had Clark Phillips and some others in that Vegas tournament moved them a little down for me. That said, they did beat the Bootleggers in Las Vegas. They did make a really, really good run. Talk about why you have it.
So they are a Pro Impact. I mean, I'm sorry, not Pro Impact. They are a ProWay kind of subsidiary program. And so, they hold that moniker. But they won a qualifier for us that Justin Holloman, who ran a great tournament out there for us in LA as a qualifier, they won that tournament and they qualified for nationals. But like you say, they do borrow players. They had some borrowed players. And so that moves you down. But that run that they made in Las Vegas was impressive, especially getting in at the last minute because we were sold out. We had one spot left and we gave them that, and they made the most of it, right? The pressure was on for them to be able to do some things. And then also winning our qualifying tournament out in LA needs to be commended. And so I think that when ProWay puts their teams together, because they are a subsidiary, the type of talent that they have, they can beat anybody in the country. And then also, I think 7-on-7, as much as it is about the players, it's a lot about the coaches. And there are a lot of coaches out there who are very good coaches. And Jeff Johnson, who trains Antonio Brown, and he's trained a lot of pros. I mean, you can go down the list and run the gamut of the guys that he trains. They're well coached, and those guys go out there and they're efficient because they're well coached. So they got in there because I had them ranked high. They're lower in the composite ranking, but EA athletes and elite athletes, man, you guys do a really good job. I need to see you guys win a Pylon event, not just a qualifying event, and that'll rank you higher. And EJ will give you a little bit more love, but until then, you're going to be sitting at number 21.
Number 20, this is a team that we both ranked 20, so they're right where they should be. This is a team that I'm really proud of, and I'm not supposed to be biased, obviously, I'm a reporter, but I have a special place in my heart for Team Grind, who's, like I said, came in at number 20. This is a team that over the last few years has been considered more of a bottom feeder, more of a second fiddle team. And
the little brothers of True Buzz.
The little brothers of True Buzz. And this year, Team Grind has made a statement. They reached the finals at the Texas Classic this past weekend. They reached the finals in the Dallas qualifier. And they made a good run in Vegas. They lost by 1 score to 808 Breeze, which is ranked a little higher in our rankings. A very good team. And if Ryan would have just made a stop, they would have won that game. But overall, they've had a really, really good year. Coach Hatchett, those guys, Coach Law and Coach Hatchett are the same guys, but Coach Law or Coach Hatchett, whichever you prefer to call him, does a really, really good job. I just am very proud of that organization. They really care about kids on the south side of Dallas, kind of a lower income area. They really help those kids advance. I feel like what they've done, progressing growth-wise for that grassroots program is really commendable. Guys like Quay Davis have really blown up because of what they've done on the 7-on-7 circuit. I mean, he's a guy that, after our Dallas tournament, immediately got offers from Oregon and Florida. They have a lot of good players like Roderick Daniels.
Shout out Quay Davis for those, but also shout out E.J. Holland.
Yeah, I had a little bit of something to do with that, but
appreciate it.
Roderick Daniels, Darius Thursby, Braden Shager, they just have guys that are really good little 7-on-7 players that move the needle. So shout out to Team Grind. They've done a really great job.
Took all the words out my mouth. Shout out Coach Law. Keep doing your thing. You got those boys moving in the right direction.
Number 19 is a team that we both liked out in Atlanta that might be ranked a little too low. Past ATL at number 19. Like I said, they had a really good showing out in Atlanta. I thought they were better than some of the teams that moved on further in that field. They just had a really good defense. Guys like Brian Branch, who's a 4-star defensive back. I thought their offense left a lot.
They look like the Monstars. They're huge. They're huge. They got the biggest team on the circuit. Like, they're intimidating. When you walk in and you see pass, you're like, okay, this is going to be a physical game. They run to the ball. And I know it's not tackle football, but running to the ball matters, because you don't want to catch the ball if you think you're going to get hit. Whether it's 7-on-7 or tackle football, it's a big deal. And so Pass and Coach Andre Powell out of Atlanta, they've been doing an amazing job. They've also been on the circuit trying to turn that corner, participating in events around the country. They travel well. They try to get out to play the best competition in the country. And so, yeah, I agree with everything you say on those guys. They may be a little bit low, but again, man, winning matters. And so you got to get you a championship in order to be like, okay, you guys are like super dogs. You get all the respect. But until you get a championship, you're leaving it up to opinion. And so shout out to them for getting in the top 25. I think this is the first time being in the top 25 of any ranking. And so it's well-deserved.
Number 18, man. Again, another team that I feel like could be a lot higher, and that's Domo. This is a team that showed up to Atlanta with 8 players. They went both ways, and they made a run all the way to the Final Four, lost to the Miami Immortals in overtime in those semifinals. Man, you want to talk about a team that had no depth, and in a tournament where depth is really required, and still made that run. I think Domo is the most feared small team in America.
I would agree with that, man. It's a testament to Florida football, right? I mean, those dudes eat, sleep, and breathe football in that state. And I know there's a lot of states that say, we're the best in football and things like that. But collectively, the state of Florida, because those guys just like absolutely live it, they're able to do things like that. Those kids went out there and they played. They didn't back down from anybody. Those guys went both ways. It was an amazing thing to watch, and they were pretty small, but they were small and fast. It's like catching the jackrabbit. Domo has been impressive. They were impressive in our Orlando, Florida tournament. Didn't do as well as they would like. But again, that's the very first tournament of the season. And then being able to come back and from that point, bounce back and go to Atlanta, which is also another loaded field. They did well.
Number 17 is a team we, again, completely agreed on. 808 Breeze. You talked about the Islands earlier not getting a ton of love. 808 Breeze is a force to be reckoned with nationally. They, again, were very impressive in Las Vegas. They beat the aforementioned Team Grind, and they can put up points in a hurry.
Yeah, 808 Breeze. I always say that the Hawaiian teams, they don't get the love that they deserve. They're putting out players from the island that are going on to win Heisman trophies and win national championships. So they obviously can play football down there, but it's hard to get to, right? And so they don't get the love, they don't get the media, they don't get the coverage that they're supposed to get. And I was just at University of Oklahoma the other day watching practice, and one of the coaches came up to me talking about the 808 Breeze team and how a lot of their players are now being recruited because of 7-on-7 and the things that they've seen, kids that they wouldn't have known about. And so I think it's time for those guys to get the love that they deserve. Pylon is all about exposure. It's all about recruiting. That's what we hang our hats on. That's what we do. And, it's kind of coming tenfold when you watch how a lot of these teams that are participating in Pylon are now getting some of the recognition that they deserve. So 808 Breeze is definitely a team that's going to be one to watch. They're definitely a team that in the future will be higher in the ranking, especially as they start traveling more and going to more events. And real quickly, I see a question on the live feed on Facebook. Air's talking about the Las Vegas tournament. I think you jumped in late. We got you at 24 in the composite ranking. I had you 24 in my ranking. I got to see a little bit more from a tournament winning standpoint at Pylon. If you're not winning Pylon events, it's hard to rank. But you guys are OGs. You have a ton of talent, and you made a good enough run in Las Vegas in order to be in the top 25. So 24 is where you're at. 24 is where you're going to stay until we get you guys a trophy.
So moving on to number 16 is a staple on the 7-on-7 circuit, ranked pretty low from where they're accustomed to being. And that is Midwest Boom.
Yes.
Which obviously has a ton of talent out of the Midwest. They are used to racking up trophies. And I remember the first Pylon event I ever went to, Boom won it all. So I feel like they haven't really lived up to expectations, yet they've been solid enough to be in this range. I mean, Boom's a team you were a little lower on than I was. I mean, what are your overall thoughts on Boom this year?
They haven't been with their main team winning the tournaments that they need to win. And so when you look at a Boom organization who's accustomed to winning, and they're always hovering around the top 8, Final 4 type of thing, you got to be ranked. But then they went out to the Mecca and they didn't do as well as they probably wanted to, or as well as most would have expected them to do. But Boom is always a team that heats up late, right? They get started later than a lot of teams, and then they play a lot, and then they kind of get rolling, and then things start clicking for them. And so, I know them. They play with a chip on their shoulder all the time. They always feel like they have something to prove, which is a good thing. When you think you don't have anything to prove and you start to settle, is when you become complacent and get leaped over. And this is going to put a battery in their back. I know it will, because obviously Boom thinks they're number one in the country all the time, as you should always feel. But they are a little bit low this year just because they haven't had the performances that we would have liked to have seen out of them. But moving forward, I expect Boom to kick ass and take some names.
So number 15, another team we had in the same range is 2020 Elite out of Arizona. This is one I really struggled to rank because they won Phoenix, so they have a Pylon championship under their belt. I also saw them at Adidas, and they were really, really inconsistent. They have a lot of talent. They have Bijan Robinson, who's a 5-star running back. They have Lathan Ransom,
who is my favorite player in the country. I think he's Troy Polamalu, man. The dude is bad.
They did borrow Keely Ringo for that championship in Phoenix.
Who was a big help.
So I struggle. I still think they're very talented and they're capable of winning any tournament. But I just want to see more from them. I think winning Phoenix was great. The performance at Adidas was up and down. So I just want to see more of 2020 Elite, but still good enough to crack the top 15.
I agree. You took the words out of my mouth.
So moving on, we will go with number 14, Carolina Stars, a team that I love and I'm really excited about. I want to see them again because they were so fun to watch. A ton of talent, including Ray Greer, who's a superstar in the 7-on-7 circuit, committed to North Carolina, 4-star wide receiver. They talk so much trash. They bring out the Chucky doll. They're so great. I felt the Carolina Stars, despite not winning the trophy, were the best team in Atlanta. So I know you can't rank them that high because they didn't win the hardware.
Gotta win.
But they were the best team there in my opinion.
You gotta win. The best team doesn't always win, and winning matters. I feel like finishing is something that is very difficult to do. It's easy to sit on the sidelines and point fingers and laugh, and then it's a little bit more difficult to get started. But the difficult part is the finish. It's to when it's not crunching time to put your back against the wall, rally the troops, and just get it done. And they weren't able to do that. And so not seeing them a ton, but only seeing them in this one tournament, although they were talented, although they had, the pieces to win a championship or to get to where they need to go, they didn't absolutely wow me because they couldn't put it together. And I'm big on being able to put it together and finish it. But it is going to be fun to see them throughout the rest of the season. I hope that they're in nationals. They got an invitation to participate in nationals in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Memorial Day weekend, and it'll be fun to watch them to see how they continue out throughout the circuit. But if you're not winning, it's hard to be in the top 10.
Number 13 is a team that's going to be upset about this ranking, I feel like. Miami Immortals. They have competed very hard in the pylon circuit these last few months.
And we appreciate that. Rankings don't mean we don't appreciate you because we appreciate you, I promise.
But, they've made deep tournament runs. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They've competed at pylon. They've competed at very, very good pylon tournaments. I just think they haven't gotten over the hump, and that's why they're at 13.
I feel the same way. And also, they never come with the same team, right? I mean, in Atlanta, they came with a bunch of underclassmen, which they say that's not our B team. It's still our team and all of that, and it's good. And they made a run. They lost. They still got the championship. But the thing about it is when you don't have the continuity and you don't have the same players week in and week out, it's hard to put it together. And so, Rudy, you do a good job of coaching them boys up. I see him on the sideline. One kid was trying to come out with a cramp, and you looked him in his face like, dog, we need you. And he looked right back at you and said, Coach, I got you, and went out and made a play. It was super impressive. But when you don't have that same continuity and you're traveling with different teams and different kids week to week, it's hard for you to kind of put it together and get you a championship. And so they did win our Jacksonville tournament, which, they probably shouldn't be as low as they are because there are some teams that I'm looking at above them that I think they would give fits if they played against them. So that's that. You're at 13. We love you. We appreciate you continuing.
We do love you, Miami
we do. Listen, I think nobody else. I mean, I'm not sure where everybody else has you, but you're in our top 25. So we obviously see what you're doing down there. Continue to do what you're doing. You're making a crazy impact. And if you feel a way about this ranking, when you come to nationals, prove me wrong.
Number 12, Detroit, stand up. It's Max X. This is a team that I absolutely love. Malik Carr, Makari Page. I mean, so many talented recruits. Again, if it wasn't Carolina Stars, I felt Max X could have won, Atlanta. I feel like those were